Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys joining us for today's video. And guys, today, just like the title said, we're going to do a rare positive video here on Intuitive Angling. And the reason I'm doing this is my wife Kim goes, man, seem like you've been really putting out some negative videos about you really like getting down on a bunch of stuff. He goes, I think you need to do some positive videos on bass fishing. So here we go, guys. I'm going to give you guys a nice positive video on bass fishing here. Guys, before we get started, just one thing I want to remind you guys, if you like the content that we put out here on Intuitive Angling, whether it be positive, negative, whatever like that, tips, one of the best ways you can support the channel is by not only subscribing, but by like checking out our Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns and our virtual lessons. I'll put the link in the description. These are just really good resources to help improve your fishing, so much appreciated with that. Okay, guys, first of all, let me address this positivity versus negativity, then we'll get into the day's positive video. When I put out a video that is perceived as negative, I'm not trying to be negative with that. I'm trying to affect change for the positive. And I try to bring attention to things that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And in doing so, it can be perceived as negative by some people. But I just wanted to assure you that, man, I love the sport. I do. I love it. It's been a part of my life since I can remember, and I just want what's the best for it. So if those videos come out, what you think is negative, just remember I'm trying to do something to point the sport in a positive direction through some type of change there. Okay, given that, let's talk about what is awesome about bass fishing, what I really, really love about it, and is the best thing about it. First of all, one of the biggest overlooked aspects of bass fishing, and especially if you fish on any competitive level, it doesn't matter if it's a club tournament or if it's the Bassmaster Elite Series or whatever, there's not another sport out there that makes you, it forces you to learn so much about yourself. Because when you're fishing, depending upon the type of fishing you're doing, you're going to learn more about yourself as far as from an emotional standpoint than any other thing that you can do. Because especially if you're in a competitive arena of fishing, every human emotion that you have, the human emotion of joy, anxiety, concern, fears, hope, just the full gamut of it out there, at some point in your fishing career, you're going to experience that. And there's very few avenues in life that allows for that type of human experience. So that's one of the things that it's sort of a byproduct a lot of people don't think about, and you can't discount that. It's like, if you want to grow as a person, that's one of the best ways to do it, because competitive fishing will put you in that arena. But that's just the one thing about the competitive fishing part of it. The other parts of it, what is so awesome about bass fishing, is that if you love to bass fish and you get a kick out of getting a bite and getting a strike and fighting a fish, it makes you feel alive. And this is so critical, because in today's society, guys, a lot of times we don't do things that really truly make us feel alive. We do things that sustain our existence. We get up in the morning, we go through our routine, go to work, come home, go through our routine, and repeat this over and over again, with some exceptions about some relaxation and rest in between. But ultimately, there are very few things in our life that truly make us feel alive and bring our senses to the surface. And bass fishing does that, because when you're bass fishing and when you're immersed in the experience of bass fishing, everything else just sort of melts away from your life. And I've had the opportunity, guys, to fish with so many people, thousands of different people from different backgrounds. If you can pick out a personality type, I probably fished with it. I fished with, everything from disabled war veterans that had traumatic injuries in war, to people that had terminal illnesses that just had a couple months to live, to people that were billionaires, to people that were just so broke they were almost homeless, to people going through every range of experience the human condition has to offer. And the thing that I can tell you about bass fishing is when you get those people out in on a lake or on a body of water or wading a creek or whatever it is you're fishing at, they're, for a moment in time, everything else goes away and they're immersed in that time of fishing. Now, the thing that immerses them in that, it can be the connection to nature. It could be, some type of wildlife they see on the bank. It could be the smell of the water off the morning. It could be the wind in their face. It could be being in a thunderstorm. It could be catching a fish or getting a strike or anything. There's so many things out there that makes you feel alive with it. And the therapeutic effect that comes with that cannot be denied. I had a chance, one of the most profound experiences I had, well, two different ones. I'll share with you guys what I'm talking about as far as how it makes you feel alive. One of them, I had a chance to fish with a wounded Iraq veteran. This has been several years ago in a Wounded Warrior tournament that I was in. And this particular individual, he was shot in the head by a sniper, and he had spent 3 years in a hospital, and he'd lost most of his bodily functions, had obviously the tremendous emotional issues that went with it. So he was dealing with a level of emotional and physical trauma that most people will never experience. And going out on the water with him, and we were in the back of this real remote creek up on Truman Lake in Missouri, and we were the only ones up there, and you could hear the birds chirping, you could hear the squirrels on the bank, and he was catching a few fish, and he felt alive once again. Once he started catching a couple fish, and once he started, absorbing the whole peace and quiet of the nature of being in the back of that creek, you could feel he all of the stuff that he had dealt with for 3 years, it just went away. It just went away for a little bit, and he got totally in the present of catching that fish. And I remember he caught like a 2-pound bass on a square bill crankbait, and I could see it in his eyes as far as just it's hard to even explain what it was, but it was a release for him that was like nothing I've ever seen. And then another time I had a chance to fish with a terminally ill 10-year-old boy. This is a tough one. Phew. Okay. But anyway, we went out fishing there, and this kid he was in a wheelchair, and he had some type of terminal cancer, and he could sorry about that, guys. But anyway, he could barely move, he could barely cast. But anyway, he hooked about a 4-pound bass, and he was so weak, it was everything he could to get this fish in the boat. But he finally got the fish in the boat. We got it in there for him, and just to see the expression on his face when he got that fish in the boat, it was something else. So you can't ever discount the therapeutic effect that comes from bass fishing. I mean, there's so many things that comes with that most people never get experience. I mean, if you fish just recreationally or occasionally like that, a lot of times you don't get to see that. So there's an element of fishing out there that can't be denied. And that's one of the reasons, guys, when you hear me talk about being against technology and against the live scope and all that type of stuff, I'm against that for a lot of reasons that I talked about, because the gift in bass fishing and the thing that makes bass fishing special is that connection with nature. And it's the instinctual, it's the primal, it's the raw aspect of being close to the fish and in nature. And that's why, the more that you drift to technology, the more that you take yourself away from like those experiences I was talking about, hearing the birds chirping and the squirrels up in the tree and, the fish flopping water in your face, all that type of stuff. It's like, it is such a gift to be out in nature. And that's another reason, guys, why I'm so protective of the environment. And, you guys know I'm a big environmentalist, and I do that for those same reasons. It's like, those experiences I'm talking about I had with that 10-year-old boy and the wounded veteran out there, a big part of that experience was being immersed in the natural world, because both of those situations, guys, there was nobody around us. There was no civilization. All it was water and woods. And it's that combination of water and woods and nature and wildlife and fish that is therapeutic, and it's healing to our bodies. And that's the great thing about fishing. That is the thing about fishing that I love more than anything, is that connection that it brings to you. Fishing is so good for your being when you approach it from the right perspective out there. And I know a lot of times, from my perspective, being a competitive fisherman, that gets off into a different area. It's still rewarding on that level, but you can't, if all of it went away, guys, and you just told me, okay, Randy, you don't have to worry about making money, you don't have to worry about anything in life, you just go do what you want. The thing that would be for me is I would try to find any body of water that I could to bass fish in, where I didn't hear a sound of civilization, I didn't see another person, I didn't see another house. All I saw was the water and the fish and nature and the sun and the wind on my face, all that type of stuff. That is the great thing about fishing. And don't discount the importance of that. Don't get caught up in the other aspect of fishing, the commercialization part of it, the technology part of it. Try to always draw yourself and bring yourself back down to the pure level of what fishing really is, that intrinsic value of fishing. And I probably didn't do that great of a job of explaining it here, but I think you get the gist of it out there. That is what is great about the sport, and that is what is great about fishing. And that's the reason that I love to do it so much, even to this day. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all later.